My name is Ben Robertson. I want to perform a statistical analysis looking at the running order of the Eurovision Song Contest to ask a simple question. If you're performing later in the show, do you do better on the scoreboard? Now, the Eurovision community believes this is true, so I'm going to investigate with a control group. I have been researching Eurovision for over a decade now. I have been a part of ESC Insight since Lille Melodifestivalen 2012, my first Eurovision event as press on site. And since then I've been at 23 national finals and a plethora of Eurovisions and junior Eurovisions since then. ESC Insight. We go behind the scenes of the Eurovision Song Contest. We try to inform, explain and analyse how Eurovision actually works. And each year, one of the most anticipated articles is my very early on Friday morning analysis of that grand final running order when it's released by the host broadcaster and the EBU. But John Olasand, the man who was formerly executive producer of the Eurovision Song Contest, he would argue it's a waste of time. He said there was no significant statistical impact of the running order on the order of the result. And of course he said this at the same time as the EBU decided to have producers create the Eurovision running order. But other statistics and other analysis suggested that isn't a true statement. That Eurovision Song Contest results show a correlation with the running order. Performing later is better. And we see this pattern in other similar examples. The graph from page and page there is from the Idol series. Looks familiar to Eurovision fans. First is okay. Second in the order is a death slot. And then from there, your chance gets better and better until performing last in the show is the best possible place to be. But I think, maybe, that data there is just showing the televoting. It's just showing the number of viewers. Because this data here from Spain last year shows that, excluding Spain's performance, as a general rule, the songs with more viewers were those on later in the grand final. In some cases by many millions more than those at the start of the show. Quite simply, are songs doing better because of their running order, because there's more people watching towards the end of the show. So this made me wonder, how can I eliminate this? What would be a fair way to analyse if running order bias exists? To analyse not if you just perform better, but is this actually a part of human nature? And the solution I came up with, the control group I'm using, are Eurovision jurors. From 2014, each country has had 5 jurors helping to rank the songs in the semi-final and grand final, where I can see their data. I can see the full rankings of every juror in the semi-final and in the grand final. So I can compare the two shows, the two rankings by the same juror, and see if that change correlates to running order. An example of this is to take Carrie Grant. She was head of the UK jury in 2014, and to see how her rankings changed. So the first column there, that is the semi-final ranking of those countries. Those were the 10 qualifiers from the second semi-final in 2014. I convert that in the next column to a 1 to 10 ranking, because the relative change in that ranking between the other songs that I'm interested in. The third column is the grand final ranking, and the fourth column there is me converting that again into a 1 to 10, from first place to last place of those 10 songs. And then I can compare the changes. So here, for example, Malta ranked 7th out of these 10 songs in the semi-final, but was ranked 3rd out of 10 in the grand final. On the flip side, Greece was ranked 3rd out of 10 in the semi-final and 7th out of those 10 in the grand final. I see there's a change of opinion of the juror here from what, a 48-hour window. And if you actually look at this set of data, it correlates quite well with running order. Malta had a much better running order in the grand final, at least being later, compared to when it opened the show in 2014 semi-final. Greece, Slovenia and Romania had far worse running orders compared to what they were given in the semi-final. So, are we seeing this pattern crop up now? Well, what's interesting, I think, is that, changes like this, I didn't expect so many changes from jurors, but actually this is common. Only 6 jurors I found from 2014 to 2022 gave the same 1 to 10 ranking in both semi-final and grand final. And that is a statistic that I find shocking, that most jurors have sat down and changed their opinion during Eurovision week on how to rank those songs. Of course, the different performances, maybe a different vocal is better, but that's a staggering stat, way more change than I expected, but great for this analysis. I can see here in this table, on the left-hand side, those songs did better in the grand final compared to the semi-final, with the jurors, of course. And on the right-hand side, I have the songs that did worse in the grand final relative to the semi-final. The colours? Oh, well, that's running order. So the green colour is a significant improvement in running order, being later in the show than the semi-final. And the red is being significantly worse in the grand final. And that's not perfect, but that's quite a correlation there. Many songs that did better in the grand final had better running orders in that grand final. And what I want to do is not just look at individual songs, but try and use all the songs to prove if running order has this bias. So what I do is I combine all of these ups and downs from all of the jurors, and I do Spearman's rank correlation analysis on this data compared to the running order. So the running order change and the ups and downs change of the rankings of those songs. What I find in the 16 semi-finals we've had since this data set has been in existence, 5 of those shows would show to a 90% confidence level that yes, a correlation exists and a later running order slot does give you more chance of doing well. There's one outlier there, the first semi-final of 2018, showing a negative drag, showing being early in the show is better. There's a couple of anomalies here. Israel, for example, did really, really well with juries in the semi-final, and despite winning Eurovision, didn't do anywhere near as well with juries in the grand final. So maybe there's other things at play, and of course other things are at play with the Eurovision Song Contest. But with these 16 shows, if I combine all of them into one data set, I actually get a value here, a critical T value, that comes out as 2.32. And using that with this many degrees of freedom and so on, at a 95% confidence level, it suggests a positive correlation exists. So this data suggests to me that yes, we can confidently say that running order is statistically significant to your ranking at the Eurovision Song Contest. And remember, this data isn't for televoters. This is for juries. So the jurors who don't change, they're the same people watching the same show, even they feel the effects of running order when they vote. And it's a great time to say this because this data set might not be available again. This year, it's 100% televoting in the semi-finals. So we have actually taken the full data set we possibly can to come to this conclusion. I think this opens up even more questions I would love to investigate. Why is it that jurors change their opinions? Could I speak to them for future research? And how is it that running orders get created? Would show producers sit down and discuss their thought process, and maybe why that has the same bias towards having favourites towards the end of the show that we see in the song contest? Thank you for now. I look forward to more questions at the conference. Take care.